Okay. Okay. Vayar Elokim et haaretz v'hinei nishchasa. And God saw the land, and behold, it was destroyed. Is that what it says? What page are you on there?
350.
Thank you very much. Did I mark it here? Yes. Okay, so God saw the earth, and behold, it was corrupt. If you look at that and you want to take it literally, which we always want to do, we have to look at things literal. Okay? There's two questions when you're approaching a text. You always have to ask this question when you approach a text. And the Hebrew is called, it's a dafka or lav dafka. Dafka means, is it exact or it's not exact? Okay? So if you look at this text, you say, God saw the earth and behold, it was corrupt. The earth itself was corrupt. Most people would read this verse and give me an explanation, which would be...
That the planet, the trees, the soil, everything.
Okay, if you're looking at it literally, it means the soil.
The people.
But if, most people understand it, the earth meaning the inhabitants of earth. Okay? But that's not what it said. Okay? So that's what the Zohar is going to focus on. And go, wait a minute. We're going to look at it exact. And it says, God saw, and the earth, the eretz, was nishchasa, and literally means corrupt or destroyed. Okay? So, because that's what it implies. The verse implies that really the earth itself was corrupt. Okay?
But wouldn't that be the man too?
It doesn't jive. All we're talking about is this verse. What man did and everything like that and everything was doing. We're just looking at the verse. Just do me a favor. Go get a chumash. Go get 2 so you guys can look at it. And then get 3, get 4.
Parshat 30.
Rolling?
Yes, because it's good to look at the verse. It's always good to look at the verse. As a matter of fact, you're really, according to Jewish law, you're never allowed to read a verse unless it's in front of you. Even though that people are quoting all the time. It's permissible for people who were always given a class to quote a verse here and there. But really, the best, just always have it in front of you. Okay?
Like you're writing the sacred Torah.
Because you'll blow it, and then also, so there's big things that go on when you read the verse from the writ. Okay? So the very beginning of Parshat Noach, we do read it, and I'll tell you what page it's on. Okay? So if you look at page 30, verse 12, and God saw the earth, and behold, it was corrupted. And then it writes right after that, "V'hine nishchasa ki hishchiz kol basar et darko," because for all flesh had corrupted its way upon the earth. Okay? So we're going to focus on that. Okay? It's just good to see the verse. Okay? Why was it corrupt? First we're going to ask why. Amai nishchascha. Right? What was the sin? What sin did the land do that it should be punished and should be corrupted? That's what the Zohar was asking, according to the
land?
Yeah. Why? Why was it destroyed? So it says, Umataretz, it answers right away. Begin ki hishchiz kol basar et darko kamad itamar. Because mashchisim v'shovchim, because they would destroy and pour out their seed on the ground, as we know. And a person is not allowed to waste seed. Nimseis haaretz mamash nishchascha v'nitma. Therefore, we find that the earth itself literally was destroyed and became what's called tuma. Tuma, actually, most people literally translate, or loosely translate, as defiled, but it's not that. Tuma, actually, after many discourses and learning a lot, it's a lack of life energy. Okay? There's two lack of life. You're either connected to the source and you're in life, or you're outside. You're not connected to the source, and therefore there's a level of lack of life. And there's different levels we have of tuma, going from the most extreme, which is a dead body, and going through a woman in her menstrual cycle and a dead lizard, okay? Or just a dead carcass. It goes through various levels of lack of life energy. A woman in her cycle is because there's an egg that died, so there's a lack of life energy. right? A dead body is the biggest because it vacated. It had a holy soul in it, and it's gone. And that vacuum, we're gonna almost get a flavor of it now. When the soul leaves the body, so then it's vacated with dark matter. Let's call it dark matter, okay? Which is tuma, which is a lack of life energy, has its own kind of thing. So the idea really here is that the earth itself absorbed that lack of life energy. That's one explanation. There's another one. Because she'ikar ha'aretz heim b'nei adam. Because we're going to say essentially the earth is people. And if they v'im heim nishchasim, and if they are destructive or corrupt, so gam ha'aretz nishchasas imam. So also the land is going to be destroyed with them. Okay? So, okay.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Oh, sorry, I skipped a line. What?
So in Sodom and Gomorrah, the land was totally useless.
Yeah, so we're gonna get into the whole real essence here. Okay, I'm sorry, I skipped. Okay, so lechein gimel. Therefore, he brings down 3 handbreadths deep. The depth of a plow needed to be overturned in order to wipe out that tuma that was absorbed in the ground. In other words, literally, because the people were spilling their seed on the ground, therefore the 3 handbreadths deep in the flood needed to get rectified and overturned. 3 handbreadths, okay? The depth of what he'll call the plow, okay? Anyways, so that's the question, and that's the answer. Okay, so it sounds like the earth itself, but it's going to bring something more deeper. Okay? Rabbi Chia opened with a verse saying, going on. Rabbi Chia opened with a verse and he says, God saw their deeds, how they turned from their evil ways. This is from Yonah. Yonah, as we know, that went to the city of Nineveh, and he told the leader there, he said, you're going to die, everybody's going to die 30 days, that's it, you're finished. I'm out of here. And he went, what? No. And they all changed their garments, right? Actually, we have in tradition that was Paro.
Oh, the
King of Egypt.
from in
Now, I don't know if it was the same Paro who got washed out of the Red Sea, swam and became a king of Nineveh, or it was a reincarnation.
It's one of Yonah? Yonah was Pharaoh?
No.
Or the king?
The king of Nineveh was
no.
Paro.
Yeah.
Because Paro,
He didn't die. He was the only
Moshe kept coming and saying, you're going to get it.
Yeah.
Let the people go. And no, stubbornness.
So,
So finally, the flip side is, no, first you get the first call and you do it.
Yeah.
Max.
That makes sense.
You go max the first call. So he went, that's it, man. Even the animals got to sit down with sackcloth and ashes and mourn. Right? Even though the cow doesn't feel like it. No, everything,
No
right?
grass.
So they changed their ways. God saw their deeds, how they turned from their evil ways. Come and see. Now, what is he going to say about that? Come and see. When human beings are virtuous, observing the commandments of Torah, earth is invigorated. This is interesting. Okay? See, because this really is talking about man's relationship to Mother Earth. Okay? I think only the Indians really have this kind of concept of
Respect.
a connection to the life of things.
the old ones, yeah.
Right? The older ones, not the ones
Yeah,
who are
they
not the
were
ones
drinking.
now who are drinking vodka and in casinos. Okay? They lost their way. Okay?
The peyote's still good though.
If those who are taking them, who dare, can get a hold of it. Okay? So, so there it writes that God saw the good, and here we see it's for bad, right? So what happened? So then we say then the time that the people are tzaddikim, and they keep the Torah, they keep the mitzvahs, so then the aretz is mitchazeket, the earth gets strong. I'm reading the commentary here. And all joy is found there. What does that mean, joy is found in her? in the earth. That means the inner forces of the earth, which is really what we call the Mishkan and Kisei, ends up being a dwelling place, a throne of sorts, for the indwelling of the divine presence. And then ve'az haisa yechola hashchina l'shaol shefa. So then, at that point in time, the divine presence is able to, what we call, to borrow, so to speak, shefa, and therefore it's able to go ahead and give the earth bounty. The earth has a blessing. Simcha baribo yashef, and then there's a great joy, kedei lashbiya lachtonim, because then the Shekhinah is able to give. So we have here, it says here, so when the human beings are virtuous, observing the commandments of Torah, earth is invigorated, pervaded with joy. Okay? The earth itself, can you feel the earth now? If you would now listen closely and just tune in. It's not got a heart like that. But is the earth in a state of joy? Or is the earth not in a state of joy? You should be able to wake up in the morning, after you get out of bed, you wash your hands and go out and stretch and you feel the earth. Okay? Is it joy or not joy? Okay? My timer, what's the reason? What's the reason? That it depends upon human beings making the earth happy. Why? Because Shekhinah hovers over the earth. So all delight above and below. Okay? And how do we learn that in Aramaic? So the earth, it gets strength. And all kinds of joy is found there. What's the reason? So therefore everybody is happy. The upper and the lower is happy. Okay? Meaning the Shemaim is happy, and the earth is actually happy because the earth then gets to go ahead and do what its function is. It's not held back. It itself needs a shefa. You look at it even simply. Rain. Okay? No, it's known that, in the end of days, right? All of the kingdoms, all of the 70 nations have to bring, on Sukkot's time, an offering to the temple. If they don't, what happens? Who knows?
No rain.
No rain in their land. Go figure, right? I can see it now. The king of Zimbabwe. I'm not good there and give sacrifice. Oh, no rain. Bring bull, 10 bull. Take 15 bull. Okay? So, in other ways, if no rain, man, it means bad economy. Okay? It'll be like ingrained in nature, which is going to be like that in the end of days. They're going to see through science that when the Jews do the Torah and mitzvahs, they get blessed. And if the Jews don't do Torah and mitzvahs, it's not good. It's not good for the lands. It's not good for the world. So my Rosh Hashiva says they'll be beating us up to learn.
To do the Torah. To do mitzvah.
To learn. Learn Torah, do mitzvahs. They'll be beating you up to learn. In other words, you'll have to be forced to sit and learn. Right?
That's them. Yeah.
Right? You'll have to be forced to sit and learn wherever. Here, wherever. They'll have places. I don't know whether you're going to be here. No, they're going to have Tyrone and Thelonious, some big, huge boobas in the front door that if you just feel like, I can't take it anymore, I just got, no, you're going to walk out and they're going to go, where are you going, sir? And they're going to go, I need to go get some milk. I need to go get some milk. Right?
Okay.
And they're going to go, yeah. Teresa, we got David here. He says he needs to go get his milk. It's going to get picked up and brought back to you. Why don't you just go back inside, sir?
Just come sit down next to me.
Why don't you go back to class? Okay?
I need to go to the bathroom next.
So in any case, in the end of days, they're going to see that it's going to depend, the earth, the blessing of the earth, the joy of the earth is going to be depend upon mankind fulfilling Torah and mitzvahs. It's a direct, obviously now you can make no such connection whatsoever. No question. The Zohar it's totally. The earth will be desolate if you mess up. Okay? The earth itself. Okay? It depends upon mankind's deeds. Okay?
But that goes back to Adam and Eve, when they took the, whatever it was on the tree.
When they eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
And then he said, you sin, so now the land will have thrustles and thorns, and it will not be milk
Totally.
and
But
honey.
that actually ran out after 10 years, that curse.
So it
When
is
Noach
that
came,
condition.
that curse was
Oh,
over.
because it got, it's like a midnight.
It was like the curse ended.
Yeah.
Okay?
So the statute of limitation did.
There was a 10 generations. It wasn't like a couple of years. You know? It was the generation of
Rabbi,
Noah.
so was it a fruit? I don't mean to go
It was
off.
not an apple.
Okay.
Get that out of your
Definitely
head.
not an apple.
No apple.
Yeah.
Okay?
No apple.
It's a four-way argument what the tree of knowledge of good and evil is, and they didn't want mankind to know because they didn't want you pointing to that tree and going, "That's it. That messes it."
Okay.
So God really wanted to make it kind of obscure, even though the Leshem brings down four types of ideas, the representative of four different worlds: Asiya, Yitzira, Bria, and Atzilut. So
This world.
wheat, grape, fig, and etrog
Oh.
are the four-way argument. Wheat used to grow donuts. Used to grow gluten-free donuts. Okay? Actually, you can handle the gluten, so it was okay. Donuts, fresh donuts grown from the tree. Okay? But then all of a sudden after that, messed up, and now you got to grind it and knead it and bake it. Grape is obvious because of the intoxication of wine. That's what Noach tried to do when he got out of the ark. He wanted to fix that fruit.
Yeah.
A lot of things go into it. There's many chazals, and none of them, and they're all like supposed to leave you basically in the dark. The idea, though, of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, it's interesting that you pointed that out, is really, we call that, I called it last week, Ilana de Sfeika, the tree of doubt.
Doubt?
Doubt.
Yeah.
Because it's tree of knowledge of good and evil. It's a mixture. You don't know. You're in doubt. As opposed to the tree of life, which is the Torah, which is source. It's either source or you're disconnected from the source. Okay? Everything is based
It's
on
either
that.
Hashem or
You're either connected to the source and you're
Every
with the
moment.
tree of life,
Yeah,
or you're in the tree of doubt.
that's it.
And therefore you're confused, which is most of the world these days. Okay?
That's
So
it.
that's what it means that the Yetzirah now inside you, which is adopted.
Yes.
Done. Alright.
We're done. Okay, that's it. We've now solved the world's problems, and let's go.
Okay, go.
Let's go get
All
some
right,
eggs.
let's go. All right. Okay, so he said, but when human beings corrupt their ways, failing to observe the commandments of Torah, sinning in the presence of their Lord, then, as it were, they thrust the Shekhinah out of the world, and the earth is left ruined. This is huge, okay? And he's going to miss it. All right? Best part. Just kidding. Just go, 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 go. Go, go, go.
Hey, don't do this word there, though.
So when mankind will destroy his ways and he doesn't guard the positive commandments and he sins in regards to the negative commandments, so then we say, as it were, he pushes the Shekhinah from the world. And then since he pushes the Shekhinah from the world, what happens? Vishtaras ar'a mechabla. So then the earth is left ruined. Okay? It's like a body with a soul. You have to really get this, because this is really goes into the whole idea that we have to, get into is the holy temple, and the fact that we're in exile, and the destruction of the temple, and what does it mean? And what does it mean? So when the Shekhinah, when the divine presence was in the temple, that was a soul in a body.
Yeah.
It was a soul in the body. The sacrifices, as it were the food for the Shekhinah, to give it the nourishment. Now what happens if you don't feed anything? It dies. The soul will leave the body. Okay? Therefore, as it were, the soul, the Shekhinah, left the temple. Okay? Since there were no more sacrifices, and besides all sin and the destruction of the temple, the body got destroyed. There's no place for the divine presence for the Shekhinah to go. It went into exile. The point here was the life force existed there as long as the people were keeping the commandments. The life force of the earth is really the Shekhinah, the soul of the earth. If people are keeping the commandments, the soul of the earth is there, which is the Shekhinah, the divine presence. Yes, the earth has soul. That's why, can you feel it? Okay. We have to develop a new sense within ourselves. Problem is we're so out of touch into the automated world. We're so desensitized.
Well, if that's the case, then I think Rabbi was saying that when the first temple was built, okay, and then when the second temple got destroyed with Shlomo, it got destroyed because it wasn't 100% pure, meaning that like the wood was, it came from non-Jewish people.
It was definitely grade B.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on,
So
Harry.
that
It was a grade B. Temple number 2 was grade B, but it was a temple.
yes, it was.
Okay?
But
A lot of
because
things were not the same.
he did that on purpose, apparently, because if he couldn't destroy the temple, then he would have to take that punishment on us.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's why, was it Rabbi Akiva? Or somebody in the Talmud that said, or somewhere that you're crying, look, Baruch Hashem. You know, you're crying over the bricks and the destruction of this, but look, he took it out on this, but he could have took it out on us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Chazal. It's in the Gemara. It's in the Talmud.
Yeah.
Okay? Better to take the anger out on the bricks and then the people.
Yeah.
All right. So here we're getting, though, a sense here of when the Shekhinah, if because of the people fail to observe, they thrust the Shekhinah out of the world. And then the earth is left ruined because it doesn't have its soul. It's a dead body. Okay? For the Shekhinah no longer hovers over her. So she, meaning the land, is ruined. Why? Because another spirit hovers over her, ruining the world. Because nature abhors a vacuum, like we say. So therefore, if the Shekhinah leaves, something else comes in its place. The mistress. Okay? Not the mistress, the maid. Right? The maidservant. Okay? She's in place then. Okay? Queen Bee. Okay? Okay? So there's another ruach, another spirit then is in place. Okay? So let me see here. So here he says in the first, a demonic spirit fills the vacuum left by the Shekhinah. Okay? So the earth doesn't have its life force anymore. Okay? And this is really interesting. It goes, when I was teaching in the Kabbalah class, that, we have the 7 lower sfirot, and each, and the reality was, the generations that happened drove one layer after another, the Shekhinah from the world. Boom, 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 until Avram Avinu. And they started to Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, right? And David brought those 7 elements of the Shekhinah back. So the Shekhinah goes, we're vacant, it's a vacated space, and therefore darkness always invades a vacated space. And the idea really is to bring the Shekhinah back. That the
So
Shekhinah has
Mashiach comes, the Mashiach is going to bring the Shekinah back.
God willing. Oh, not fast enough. Who knows?
Maybe.
You never know what's going on here, right? The world is...
Amen.
Not tonight. Can't come at night, because I got something to do. Okay.
Yeah, gotta be smart.
All right.
Not tonight. Episode
Can we
24.
reschedule? Mashiach coming? Can we reschedule? Okay. Okay, so therefore the land is left desolate because the Shekhinah is pushed off. Pushed, that's the language. Below Sharia Alea Ukaden is Chablas. Therefore it is destroyed. My Taima is Chablas. Begin to Sharia Rucha Achara Allah, because another spirit has invaded it. To Mechabla Alma, that destroys the world. Okay, so in other words, when you have this other Ruach that is going to come, it's not going to be good. It's called the Ruach Chabola. A Chabola is destructive spirit. You're going to have a destructive spirit is then going to run. Okay?
Which is now.
Because she's not able to go ahead and bestow her shefa to those who are lower in it. So, Ruach HaSitra Achra, Shemashchit et Olam. The spirit of the Sitra Achra of the other side that destroys the world. And on this we say, V'alda Amrin, and on this we say that Yisrael Yahaveh Oz Lelokim. It doesn't bring this in the translation. They I don't know why he biffed it. Okay? There's a verse that says, Tenu Oz Lelokim, give power to God. How do you give power to God? God has all the power. Yet there's a verse, we say it every single day in the morning prayers. Tenu Oz Lelokim, give power to God. What do you mean give power to God? Mm-hmm. So the idea really is this. Yehaveh Oz Lelokim D'Mekaimim Alama. L'chein Amarnu Yisrael, that establishes the Torah, we give power and koach to the Shekhinah, and by way of this, the world is established. In other words, when we don't behave properly, we block the flow. God is not able to give that he wants to give, but he just can't. If it's too disgusting, too bad, stinks too bad, he can't give. He can't. So therefore, you blocked God's power, so to speak. Okay? But when you behave properly, and therefore you can receive the blessing, talking about for mankind, so then the Shekhinah can give, and God can give, and therefore his oaths, his power, is revealed in the world. So really what it's saying by give power to God, meaning allow him to be revealed in the world. Give him the ability to reveal more. Okay? So Elokim da Shekhinta, we say that the name of God is the Shekhinah. Shemekabeles Oz, she receives what's called this power, which is really Nachas Ruach. She gets what we call a gratification from the good deeds that the Bnei Israel do. But if, God forbid, the Im Chas v'Shalom, Yisrael Yishtakchun Chayavin, if they're found to be that they are sinners, so what is it right? Ruma al Hashemayim Elokim, Hashem is above. He's elevated himself. It removes itself from the world. V'shum dereshes eichinu lefa'amai, because shegarmu ba'achizas chitzoni, because the people with their deeds caused what we call a grabbing of the external forces. In the secret of Ragleha Yoredis Maves, her feet go down to death, which means the Shekhinah, if she's there where her feet exist, if the external forces are able to grab hold of her, so then they can go ahead and they suck energy to themselves. This is how it works. This is the explanation. Of course, you have to understand what does it really conceptually mean, external forces. What it means really is the physicality overtakes the influence of the world, and people are totally sucked into the physicality of the world and following after physicality, as opposed to the real spirituality. So if it becomes to that point where the deeds are corrupt of mankind, because really what they're doing is they're enabling the physical desires to overcome. It drives the Shekhinah away. Shekhinah can't handle that.
Well, you can see that just in today's society.
Absolutely.
The Wooders, years ago, in every state, around the world, were so much cleaner than they are today.
Huh.
Because
Scary.
of greed and everything else.
That's scary. Okay? So Ruma al Hashemayim Elokim Mishum Dereshes Heichinu Lefa'amayim, because that they put a snare prepared by his footsteps. Kafaf Nafshi, bent over is my soul. This is the verse in Tehillim. B'sivas Chamas V'sinas Chinam, because of their corrupt deeds, which means their violence or their the people that we know that Noach's time were guilty of robbery, and Sinat Chinam, which is baseless hatred. So the rest of this kapitel Tehillim says, Karu lefanai sticha, they've dug before me a pit. This is the Shekhinah saying it, right? They put my feet in death, my soul is bent over, they dug for me a pit, right? Kagavna the David, the Dora Mabul. Just like what happened in the generation of the flood. To begin Hamas da Hava Beinehim, because there was robbery amongst them, Hava Beinehim Sina Udavavu. So therefore there was before them Haisa Bein Ashchina Bein Bnei Adam Sina ve'eva. Enmity. Fighting. Too much fighting. Okay? It's not good. You got to keep the Shekhinah here. Our goal is to get the Shekhinah down here as much as possible. So now we go on weiter. Yechol. You might think, the This is very interesting. You might think this applies even to the land of Israel.
Yeah.
That if the people in Israel do terrible things, God forbid, the Shekhinah leaves Israel, right? That's the formula.
Yeah.
The land itself becomes corrupt and desolate.
No.
A ruach tuma, you know? Ruach tuma.
Slightly different.
A sitra achra, ruach tuma. You know, it's an influence. It goes into your brain. There was once this great story, this Hasidic Rabbi. They were getting they were in an unbelievably joyous state, right? After learning, they were dancing on the tables, singing music, unbelievable joy, and the joy became higher and higher and higher, that they thought for sure Mashiach is coming through the joy that they are now experiencing. It has to be the redemption of the world. Mashiach's coming. And then they heard a noise. And they go, is that it? Did he come? Is he here? And they go, the Rebbe there goes, wait, I have to go out. I'm going to go out and check it out. So he goes to the doorway. He goes, no. The air is still very corrupt, full of pettiness and strife. Mashiach hasn't come.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can sense it and feel it in the air outside. The air outside has influences, okay? But in any case, you'd think that this applies even to the land of Israel, yet we have learned that no other spirit or official hovers over the land of Israel, as is known. Only God watches over the land of Israel. Only the Blessed Holy One. Come and see. So it is in the land of Israel that no official or emissary hovers over her. On the next page, 351, hovers over her. Only the Blessed Holy One. For a moment, it does not hover to destroy human beings. There is moments there. That's the question. In other words, Hashem is always looking over the land of Israel, right? Am I on the right page? Yeah. Nothing except a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Come and see that the land of Israel, this is how it is. Lo shari Allah mimana. It doesn't have any appointed manager, no other overseeing angel, no other. Except for the Holy One, blessed be He only. But there's a time of Al Sha'at Achada. There is one time, Shari Allah, L'chabla b'nei Nasha, that it did rule over. The Malach HaMavis did come into Eretz Israel. Do you know when? Does it say here when? From David. For it is written, David saw the angel of Hashem of Yud Kei Vav Kei standing between earth and heaven, with a drawn sword in his hand extended over Jerusalem. There was a point in time where King David, he says, we got the kingdom together. This is unbelievable. Happily. We got to count the Jews.
Oh, yeah.
Let's make a count. Head to every village and every city and make the count. And he had all his people count, and you know you're not allowed to count Jews. Not allowed to count Jews. Right? Because it singles them out for the evil eye. If Jews so they counted Jews through a coin. Usually when they needed to make a count, everybody would give a half a shekel, and they count the half a shekels, they knew how many Jews there were. But you're not allowed to go 1, 2, because you're singling them out for a number.
Did you say the Shekhinah is Knesset Israel?
Mm-hmm. So you don't want to single anybody out from the Klal. The Klal has its own. The Klal, meaning the general aspect of Klal Yisrael, of the Jewish people, has its own protection. It's like a completely higher level insurance policy, coverage. Okay? So that's why a person always has to be connected to a community. Can't be hot dogging it on its own over there in Memorial or and no synagogue. He doesn't go to synagogue. It's not good. He's a stray. And the wolves go after those kind. Okay? So King David made this count, and then he saw this angel, and then there was a plague. Because he counted. You're not supposed to count. And he counted, and because of that, so there was a plague in the land. Okay?
So the angel is Gabriel.
No, it was the angel of death. The angel of death was allowed to come in and do what he needed to do. So this kind of goes against what we say. It doesn't, wait a minute, if God is the only ministering force over the land of Israel. What is this idea of this one time where the Malach HaMavis was able to come? Okay, one time exception, okay? Because you're not allowed to count. Had to teach King David that. When he saw that, by the way, he was always cold. That's why he had to get Avishag to keep himself warm.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing could warm him because he saw that angel, and then that was it. It grabbed it and it went inside, and it's like he had cold bones, couldn't get warm. Okay,
Wouldn't he know that?
would he know what?
Like, you're
not to
supposed
count?
to count?
I don't know. He thought this is a good time. It's a time. It's beyond that. He must have had a calculation that we don't fall right now. Doesn't fall into that rule.
Yeah.
That's how he calculated. But obviously he was wrong. Okay? Really, only unless God tells you to count are you supposed to count. Okay? Okay? Let me just read here. Right. Aval sha'ah achas, there was one time, right, that there was a dever, there was a plague. So then the Malach HaMavis ruled to destroy people. But only in the time of din. So you're going to have two times. Okay? There's two times. There's a time of shalom, peace, and then there's what's called time of judgment, din. Okay? So
This is Mishak, Nielsen Mishak.
you could say, but I didn't think about hooking that up, but we'll think about that in a minute. But aval rak b'shas din, it was only in this time of judgment and punishment, only according to that moment. But in Chutz La'aretz, it works differently. Outside the land of Israel, it's different. Okay? Kevan shenichnas, Hashem help us. Once he's allowed to come in, nishar sham, he can stay.
Angel of death?
Yeah. Zman Rav, he can hang around a long time. Gam achar shekumar masav. In other words, if a decree upon a certain nation, kingdom, wherever it is, Rahman al-Islam, Hashem should help us and protect us. But if all of a sudden, somehow the deeds got really corrupt, I could pick California because those guys, my parents are there, but sometimes they just they're weird. Okay? and I see it from right over here. I'm like going, dude, that was so obvious. Like, as soon as Schwarzenegger decided to take out of the textbooks the idea of mother-father,
What?
because it wasn't politically correct. Because there were some kids that were in schools who were from two fathers, right? The dads were gay or the moms were lesbian, right? So it wouldn't...
Whoa, man.
Fire. There was a fire that I think extended all the way from LA all the way down to San Diego. Blaze.
Oh, yeah.
That week. Boom. I was like, what? Dude, don't mess. Okay? They're not going to get it.
This is hard.
What?
This is
Hey, you think there's something connected here? No. Okay? But anyways, the idea of Baruch Hashem, I don't think anybody got hurt, but it was still a major destruction. Fires, a lot of property. But the idea really is, in the time of King David, so God had to have the Malach HaMavis come do your deed and get out. But in any other country where the Malach HaMavis has to come and do some kind of din, some kind of judgment, right? Anywhere in the world, the Malach HaMavis is allowed to come, sickness or whatever it is. So he's even allowed to hang out for a while after the major judgment has been performed. He can be at the Starbucks, hang out at Starbucks, maybe we'll go catch a steak at some restaurant. Right? He'll hang out. He's got a hotel room, go to the casino a little bit, right? So in any case, he's allowed to hang out. Okay? That's different than Eretz Israel. Eretz Israel comes, goes. Chutz La'aretz, outside of Israel, even in a time of judgment, he can still be around. Okay?
Takes his vacation.
What?
He takes his vacation.
Whatever, he did his thing, but he's allowed to hang around.
He's getting count.
It's very interesting. It just occurred to me also that by us we had a tremendous blessing. You know, I mean, it was a tremendous tragedy that my son passed away. But they know that if anybody in your family, it is in the books, the holy books, that if a close relative passes away, a person has to be careful the entire year, unless there's a birth of a boy in the family, then that's it. It's gone. You don't have to worry the rest of the year. You have to be cautious. Why? Because the Malach HaMavis came and took that family relative. He took him. He's allowed to hang around. He can hang around. As a matter of fact, if he hangs around and you get uppity, he'll pull out your file and start looking at it. God forbid. But if there's a boy, a baby boy born in the family, he can't. That's it. He's out. Kicked out. Can't hang around anymore. Time to leave. Interesting, huh? Happened by us the week that we were sitting Shiva. Devorah's sister gave birth to a boy. Because I was reading that in the whole book, I'm like going, dude, I mean, it's not worse, but once he's allowed to come, he's allowed to stay. Nothing's kicking him out except for very few things. Okay? Menon, so we know from David, right? Because David saw the angel, Shahare Nichnas Malach Hashem. The Malach of Hashem came in the time of the Dever, right? Because King David made this count. Because here we see that the person who had the debt collector, had a place to go ahead and collect his debt. I guess that's really what the idea of counting is somehow, if there's a mistake done, and it's always that way, that he can find an opening to collect. That's why they say you're not allowed to put yourself in a situation of danger. Right? Because the situation of danger, there's a place where the debt collector can open up his file and collect his debt. Wow. Okay? That's why Yaakov Avinu did not want to send Benjamin down to Egypt on the road. Roads are very dangerous places. So therefore, dangerous places is where the Satan prosecutes. He opens up the file and he says, well, he did this, and this. I want my money. Okay? Amar Rabbi Elazar. Comes Rabbi Elazar and he's going to argue. Because that was all who? That was Rabbi Chia. Right? Because Rabbi Chia went ahead and told us about the Shechina leaving. If you do bad deeds, it leaves and it comes. Except Eretz Yisrael has a different setup. He wants to argue with that. He says, no. Amar Rabbi Elazar, says Rabbi Elazar, no, even in the time of judgment in Eretz Yisrael, it's always God. All in the time of judgment, lo shara le'acher. Nobody else rules except the Kodesh Baruch Hu in the land of Israel. Even in that time, it was God. It was not the Malach HaMavis. Okay? And what is the proof? Because it says, Malach, Kasiv Hacha Malach Hashem. It writes here, Malach Hashem by King David. And it's written in another place, Uksiv Hasam HaMalach HaGoel Osi. In another place, Yaakov is referring to the Malach who redeemed me, which has to do with the Shechina, which is really the presence of God. Okay? And it also writes in another place, Vayisa Malach Elokim, and the angel of God traveled, right? Just like that there, it was the Kodesh Baruch Hu, it was the Holy One, blessed be He. So also here was the Kudsha Baruch Hu, was the Holy One, blessed be He. Ki hein letav ve'hein lebish, whether it's for good or for bad, it is the Kodesh Baruch Hu who rules on the land of Israel. Okay? So that's Rabbi Elazar, okay, who's the son of Reb Shimon. He comes and says, no, it's always God. Anything that happens in the land of Israel is always HaKodesh Baruch Hu. He doesn't let anybody else slip in and do their thing. Okay?
So outside of Israel, the Malach HaMavis, you're saying, has a little bit more free will.
Totally.
Than if he sends them to Israel.
He can't get to Israel.
No, I mean, if HaKodesh Baruch Hu tells him to go, he goes and he comes back.
So here we have a machlokes, though. Rabbi Chia and Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Chia says he can come in, but he's got to go out right away. And Rabbi Elazar says nothing doing. It's not even the Malach HaMavis. It's God Himself who does every single thing. He takes the lives. He does it. Okay? There's no such thing as Malach HaMavis stepping foot. By the way, it is interesting that I think, and I have a question, but in general, I went to a ghost tour in San Antonio. They probably have one here too, right? They have
Did you go to the bridge where the tracks?
Yeah, we did that several times. That was kind of funny. But they have a lot of stuff downtown by the Alamo and things like that. And even the guy mentioned that in Israel there's no cases. In other words, this guy studies all over the world cases of ghost reportings. But Israel, none.
None?
None.
It's interesting.
Okay, I happen to have reportings, though, in Israel, room 15. Okay? There were incidences that happened. But in general, there's no incidences in Israel of ghost reportings. Okay? I don't even know if there's any alien reportings either.
However, there is the King David. It's always in the old city saying that he is King David.
Oh, there's plenty of guys. There's every 10 feet there's a guy like that with a harp, right? We know those guys. Okay. There used to be one in our yeshiva every month who held he was the Messiah. And once a month we have a guy come in. I'm the Messiah, come to save you.
Whoa.
Now you must bow down to me. I'm like, get out, right? No, actually, he'd go to the Rabbi and he says, I need a room. I just want to learn Torah. So the Rabbi would give him a room. And then a month later, somebody else thought he was the Mashiach. We gave him the same room. We let him fight it out. Same room, fight it out. All right? We had a game. Yeah. Anyways, let's not go there. Okay. Ve'hein lebish kucha brichu shalit alei latav begin delo is masda techot shar mamanan v'kol diarei alma yichsefun min ovdaihu. This is a strange text here. Okay, so here he says here. Okay. So he says, whether for good or for ill, the blessed Holy One reigns over her for good, so that other officials and all inhabitants of the earth will be ashamed of their deeds. Okay? In other words, the deeds of the people in Israel will be good. Kuchkabrichu will be there. They'll have unbelievable, tremendous bounty, and they'll be acting right in the land, and everybody else, it says here, sounds like, will be put to shame. Okay? See, he explains here something that you have to understand here. It brings down in many other places. Okay? Whether it's for good or whether it's for evil, HaKadosh Baruch Hu alone rules on the land of Israel. Whether it's for good, because in order that it is not handed over to any other ministering angel. Okay? It's not handed over to any other ministering angel. Rather, he himself is going to bestow the essential shefa. Shefa is the word which means bounty, blessing. He himself is going to be the one who's going to give it. It's coming from his account. Okay? It's not the treasurer who goes and writes you a check. It's like he pulls the gold and there you go. Right? And the rest of the people of the world, they only get a tamsit of it. A tamsit is like a little extract. It's like an offshoot of it. The essential shefa goes to Israel, and the rest of the country gets like an offshoot of it. Okay? A tamsit is like an extract. It's not the main thing. Okay? And that's really how it is all the time. That's why we bless in Birkat HaMazon, in the blessing and the grace after meals, we make a blessing. The second blessing of the grace after meals is Baruch Hashem al haaretz v'al hamazon. Blessed are you, God, for the land and for the food. Now, why does it have to say that? Why do you have to say that? I'm in Houston. I ate food. I'm going to bless. Bless you, God, for the food. Why did I have to say bless you for the land? What land? It's referring to the land of Israel. All blessings of the world come to the world through the land of Israel. Okay, if the land of Israel gets stopped up, the rest of the world gets stopped up. That's how things work. Okay? And that's what he says here. All of those who dwell in the world are embarrassed from the deeds that they're doing. They're embarrassed because they're only getting a little scrap. They're getting the table scraps. The rest of the world, they're looking to their ministering angel, because there are 70 ministering angels. There are 70 angels who are responsible for that land. Each one has their guardian angel, right? Arch guardian angel. Each people of the 70 nations. So they're only getting like a bone. So they're embarrassed because they're only getting a little bit. But if it's for bad, begin to lo yechedun inun l'shal ta'ala. So Kodesh Baruch Hu has to rule on the land directly. Why? He doesn't want the other people to be happy. He doesn't want those other forces to be happy. Kederech HaMelech, this is a strange language, he says. Kederech HaMelech shekavash medina achaz. It's like a king who conquered a land. Shesas v'samach b'kfishaso, that he's happy with his conquering. Lechein kodim shichvashuha. Therefore, before that he conquers it, the Kodesh Baruch Hu mashpila ad haaretz kilakaman. Which I guess before that he conquers it, he's going to throw it down. I don't know what that means, exactly how it relates to here. Because I read it and it didn't quite fit. So here in the English it says here, for ill, meaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu rules on it for bad, so that they will not rejoice in ruling over her. So that they won't be able to come in and take over. Okay? Going on. Now you might say, okay, Rabbi Elazar, we got you. You say that only God rules over the land of Israel. But wait a minute. No, look at what's written. For she has seen heathens invade her sanctuary. We have it in Lamentations. And destroy the house. They've destroyed the house. They came in, they destroyed. What are you talking about? These are outsiders coming in. Romans. Actually, he brought from here, what's his name? Who was the first guy? Nebuzaradan. Okay? So if those officials were not in charge, the temple would not have been destroyed. Come and see. It is written, no, it's not so. Because the answer is, you have to look. It says, for you have done it. Meaning God destroyed the temple. And similarly, Yud Kei Vav Kei has done what he has devised, which we'll look at later. He did what he devised by destroying the temple. In other words, as the Kodesh Baruch Hu himself destroyed the temple. It wasn't them. Even though externally you see them coming in and they're doing what they're doing.
The bigger picture.
We know in Chazal, I think they sent the 4 angels. Malach came down with a fire, or Gabriel came down and set fire to the temple before they actually got there. So really it was already the destroyed temple that they came and destroyed. As we see later, we're going to see later on. Come and see, as it is written. God saw the earth, and behold, it was corrupt. Corrupt indeed, as we explained. Okay? Nishchasa, which means corrupt, it also means destroyed, right? Which alludes to the destruction of the temple. Indeed, as we've been explained. Correspondingly, it says, we looked by Nineveh, God saw their deeds, how they turned from their evil ways. For then, earth, this is how it works, spiritual rule, earth called above. Earth called above. Let's look at the Aramaic for that. Earth calls above. What is that? Vayar Elokim et haaretz v'hinei nishchasa v'adai kamad yetemor hachi nami vayar Elokim es maaseihim ki shavo midarkam hara deha kedain ara karat la'ela. That then the earth called above, and he says here like this: the haaretz called above, sheashpiu la shefa, that the earth, the spiritual realm should bestow of its bounty for the sake of those who are dwelling in it. And this is what it means Kabbalistically. By way of good deeds, when we do good deeds, Ayidei Masim Hatovim, Hashchina, the divine presence, which is called Aretz, Ma'ale Maim Nukvim, it elevates what we call feminine waters. V'Korah Elza, and it calls to the Holy One, blessed be He, that it should come and should join with her. Every time we do a good deed, Kabbalistically, in the Kabbalistic realm, if you look at it with your spiritual glasses, there's an elevation, there's an energy that rises. Not even a physical rise, but there's a certain energy which is made, okay? And it's called feminine waters, which really what it is really a desire to connect. So that desire to connect really awakens. It's an awakening from below. Very important, the most important thing ever. An awakening from below. What happens when there's an awakening from below? Then there's a bestowal from above. It's always like that, and actually it's in this week's Parsha. It says Moshe Rabbeinu, this brings down in the Leshem, okay, so you can You fulfilled your obligation of leshem tonight. Okay, we're a little bit over. Okay, but I'll stop here. Okay.
Oh, no,
Yeah, we'll stop. Okay,
Oh,
we're done. All right, no, a couple more words, but let me just say this. Moshe Rabbeinu at the burning bush was called to take the Jewish people out of Egypt. Great. And he went, and it's known that he went to the Jewish people, to the leaders, spoke to them, and then went to Paro. Which really, we understand that maybe is a nice kind of gesture. But really, if you're on a mission, you're on a rescue mission, you got to do the rescue. You got to do the rescue, which is you got to knock off the main dude. You got to hit. You got to hit the dude, and then you'll get the prisoner out. You don't go all the way down into the dungeon, crawl through the dungeon, crawl through, escape, go through the guards, and go, I'm going to get you out. Just wait. And then you go to Paro, and you go like, let's make a deal. Okay? You just go to Paro, make a deal. Why do you have to go to the elders first? So that's the spiritual rule. The spiritual rule is he had to awaken the Jewish people that are going to get out.
Oh.
To make this feminine waters, this desire, this idea. They had to awaken and make a vessel.
Yes, yeah.
The awakening from below makes a vessel. And only if there's a vessel can there be something to put in the vessel. But first you have to make the vessel. Okay? So once you make the vessel, so he had to go to the Jewish people and say, we're going to get out. We're getting out. And they got excited. And they looked forward to it. Okay, it happened to be they had to make their bricks without straw the next day. Okay? That's part of the process.
Yeah, exactly what it said.
But the idea we are here, he says that the awakening from above can only be corresponding to the awakening from below. So that's the reason why Moshe Rabbeinu went to them before. Okay? And then he went to Paro. All right, so let's finish off here. So here is the whole idea of the earth, which is really the Shekhinah, which really takes our good deeds and it looks and it calls to above, adorning her face like a woman for a man. You just get the poetic, the idea here of the romance here. So God saw the earth and behold, it was corrupt. This is not the case here. In the case of the generation of the flood, the earth was corrupt like a woman rendered impure, hiding her face from her husband. She's disgusting. When the sins of humanity abounded brazenly, the face of the earth, I don't even know what the definition of this word is, transmogrified. What is that?
Transmogrified.
Thank you. Definition, Google it. Okay, let's get here. Okay. Wait a minute. Once it increased in sin, openly, so the land shavisa anpa kunukva delesla kisufa mikula. So the earth made its face to be like that with brazen and no embarrassment, just like what it says. Va'aretz chanfa tachas yoshveha. And the earth was totally shameless. Okay? And it says the earth was defiled under her inhabitants, and so it was corrupt. Indeed. Why? For all flesh had corrupted their way on earth. When it's good, it's good. When it's not good, it's not good. Okay? But the interesting thing is really the connection to the earth. That the earth, it has a soul. And the soul is all based on what we do. And we get the idea of the difference between the land of Israel and other lands, and we understand how the Malachim Avis works, right? And therefore, we should have a blessing to elevate the feminine waters, okay? The good deeds, make the land holy, bring the Shekhinah.
Amen.